Thanks for downloading a 3CR podcast. 3CR is an independent community radio station based in Melbourne, Australia. We need your financial support to keep going. Go to www.3cr.org.au for more information and to donate online. Now stay tuned for your 3CR podcast.
Sabah al-Khair. Good morning, dear listeners. You're listening to Radio 3CR on 855 AM and Palestine Remembered with Yusuf Al-Rimawi, Robert Martin and Nasser Mashni. Thank you all for tuning in to another edition of Australia's only radio program that is totally dedicated to the Palestinian cause in English language. I'd like to welcome our listeners on the AM dial and those who will join us later on 3cr.org.au/podcasts. In today's episode, we're talking again about Al-Aqsa, Jerusalem, and the preparations for the upcoming BDS conference in Sydney. Stay with us and enjoy the episode. Good morning, Nasser.
Morning, Yusuf. How you doing?
I'm well. Now, Robert is not with us this week, but he will join us next week. We have a few topics to talk about. Of course, the upcoming BDS conference in Sydney, and I believe you will be there.
Yeah, Robert and I will be there.
But before that, we have our event, United for Al-Aqsa, that was organized in Melbourne at the Federation Square last Wednesday.
Yeah, it was a fantastic event, Yusuf. As you know, you and I were there, but we were joined by almost 250 Palestinians and their supporters, and for a 1-hour snap rally, and it was really a fantastic event. You know, it was
despite the bad weather.
Despite the bad weather, we had a great turnout, and what was most moving about it wasn't just the engagement we had with our own community, but what was really good was a caller called into the Neil Mitchell program on the morning of Wednesday to say that he wanted to organise a counter demonstration, Yusuf, and that he'd spoken to the police about organising his counter demonstration, and the police said they could not guarantee his safety. You know, and he got 9 minutes of airtime on 3AW,
expressing
his concern as an Israeli that, you know, his legitimate rights for protest were going to be curtailed because the police said if you come along, that, you know, you wouldn't be, we couldn't guarantee your safety. Now the reality is nobody challenged this guy on the fact that if you want to have a demonstration in Australia, it's your democratic right. I mean, I don't agree with your platform, but it's your right to. Why you would choose to hold a rally at the same time as our rally,
at the same location,
and then demand that I provide you with security, it beggars belief. I mean, this is, you know, only a Zionist could think that way. Yeah,
only a Zionist could think victimized by something like this.
I came to your rally and I'm not safe. Therefore,
and not just I came to your rally. I came to your rally to raise the Israeli flags.
And chant slogans and
chant anti-Palestinian slogans.
Hateful anti-Islam slogans as well. I mean, many of the people that were at our rally weren't Muslim. So. No. Look, one of the best things about the day, aside from the wonderful speeches and singing and the real great vibe we had, was the fact that throughout the rain and all of that, that at the end of the rally, whilst our rally was still going, they gave up and went home. And a real victory to us, and we look forward to the day that happens in Palestine.
Let's for the listeners who probably didn't know what happened on Wednesday. So the rally was organized by a group of Palestinians, Lebanese and Islamic and Australian organizations, including the Socialist Alliance and the Socialist Alternative. And the purpose of the rally was to protest the Israeli measures against the people of Jerusalem, and B is to show solidarity with the people of Jerusalem in their steadfastness since the 14th of July, since they locked Al-Aqsa. And a group of maybe pro-Israel or Zionists decided to, like you said, Nasser, to organize a counter rally, and the story began from there. But I want to go back to your interview with 3AW.
Oh, yeah. So one of our listeners and dear friends contacted me and said, look, I don't know if you've heard, but in fact, had an Israeli on the radio. You really should call in. And I sent an email through to the the radio program, and they called me back, and I had about 4.5 minutes to talk to our version, and
half of his time, or half of the time given to
half of the time. Look, one of the things I certainly got, and we'll put a link up on the podcast so listeners can hear both Aaron, the 16-year-old Israeli student's version, and my version with Neil Mitchell. But at the end of my time with Neil Mitchell, he actually did agree with my theory that in fact he's got a right, but it was he was being provocative in organising a protest in the same location at the same time, and that he was in fact doing himself and his cause a disservice by doing it. So, look, and one of the best things about the night, if I could say, Yusuf, was the fact that Reclaim Australia attended with these Zionists. So
that's a testimony.
Yeah, testimony to
who they are. Because, like you said on Wednesday at the event, that it's if you say you are a Zionist, then you are a racist.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the fact that you are joined by Reclaim Australia, the wonderful Reclaim Australia, is a testimony to that.
Yusuf, I think our listeners wouldn't have had the benefit of the Q&A you and I had at the rally, but I think we should give some context around, post 14th of July and the measures and what Israel wanted to do, as we know, wanted to do with the metal detectors, and then failing after backing down from the metal detectors, now these super duper cameras, and now we understand backing down from the cameras and a complete and utter victory for the Palestinians. Is that we should talk about the context and why the Palestinians resisted in such a manner. And this concept that the metal detectors are for Israel's security, and how that moves from security and creating circumstances where they can bar Palestinians and in fact ipso facto create control.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. Well, the metal detectors definitely is the idea is not about security.
No,
it's about imposing Israeli sovereignty or more sovereignty on Muslim and Christian property and land. The starting point should be that we're talking about Al-Aqsa compound, and Al-Aqsa is a purely Muslim waqf, and waqf is an Arabic word for trust or property that you cannot even sell. So even Muslims don't have the right, according to Islamic rules, to sell or lease or give away or concede even one tree of Al-Aqsa compound. That is 144 dunams, by the way. That includes Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Dome of the Rock, and many other properties within. So this is a purely Muslim property, and Israel, since the occupation of Jerusalem, started a series of, maybe the time doesn't help here in saying what Israel did to Al-Aqsa since the occupation in 67, but enough to say that the next year of the occupation, all of a sudden there was a Zionist fanatic who happens to be Australian, by the way, who decided to set fire on Al-Aqsa. And
well, Yusuf, the Israelis talk about freedom of religion, and one of the things they want to do is, and they do allow on random moments, even though under Talmudic law it's actually prohibited for Jews to pray at the top, that they want to allow, and they've got a group, an Israeli group, the Temple Mount Faithful. Yeah, and every now and again and they allow them to come up and have some prayers. And this same group, they wanted to lay a cornerstone up there. I mean, the pretext of where we the metal detectors it has to be viewed in the fact of a settler colonialist enterprise.
Absolutely.
This is not about like somebody's trying to get onto an aeroplane and maybe smuggling a box cutter.
No, this
is about the continuation and the perpetuation of ethnically cleansing, of Judaization of Jerusalem, of erasing Palestinian Arab presence and
whether
control of their
Muslim or
sites.
Christian.
Yeah.
Exactly, Nasser. Totally agree with you. The Al-Aqsa attacks started since the occupation, and the peak of it was probably in October 2015, where Israel wanted a time and place share of Al-Aqsa, where let's divide Al-Aqsa and we have time for Muslims, time for Jews. No, it's actually a Muslim property. So what happened on the 14th of July was a continuation,
Of course.
where there are soldiers, there are security officers, there are police officers, Israeli from occupying force on
Waqf property.
On Waqf property,
Yeah.
and since the killing of the two Israelis, and of course here let's be clear about first not supporting violence, not supporting armed operations against, let's say, civilians. And maybe this is not the best time, and we're not in the best position to go back to armed intifada.
No.
But especially on a Muslim, or let's say on Al-Aqsa compound. But having said that, we're not going to condemn this, because this is a response to the settler and state terrorism.
Absolutely.
Against the people of Jerusalem and against Palestinians in general. Yeah. So the response of that was that Israel decided to close and lock Al-Aqsa for the first time since it was set on fire. Yeah. So that's 50 years. And for the first time, Muslims could not perform their religious duty in Al-Aqsa. That was Friday. It was a Friday morning. They couldn't do the Friday prayer. And Israel used that as a pretext against the Palestinians, like you said, to impose more limitations. Now, while they reopened it on the following Sunday, they came up with the idea of the metal detectors for security. And of course, it's not about security. It's about the continuation of the Judization of the city.
Absolutely.
It's about creating new facts on the ground that with time become irreversible, like what happened in Hebron in the 90s. It's also about trying to break the determination and will of the Palestinians, and on the hope that maybe in future they would leave the city and they will and Israel would win more ethnic cleansing, and to gain more bargaining power, that maybe in future they can give away the metal detectors for more political points in their future negotiations with the Palestinians or even the Jordanians. Absolutely. So it's definitely not about security.
No. And you know, for Benjamin Netanyahu, he's happy to see Jerusalem explode. I mean, one of the realities of violence is that his right-wing party gains ground in the polls, number one. Number two, as we know, he's under another corruption investigation for some submarine scandal. So anything that deflects the newspapers away from him and those scandals, he's very happy for. Yusuf, you just touched on Baruch Goldstein, and before we go there, one of the things we have to be very careful with the Israelis. Whenever they talk about security is the pretext under which they have to ban human beings from going somewhere. Security is the reason they take lands off Palestinians. Security is the reason that they demolish Palestinian homes. Security is the reason that they close schools. Security is the reason that they don't allow professors to enter universities. Israel uses security as a pretext, as a lie, but the pretext is to ethnically cleanse and to erase,
to maintain and sustain occupation.
And sustain occupation, absolutely. So coming on from the 14th of July, we've got the first the metal detectors and now their removal. Then we had the cameras and now their removal. And the reason why, and you just touched on it in a second, let's go back to the 1990s in Hebron and Baruch Goldstein. And the 29 worshippers he killed. Yusuf, you want to take us to Ibrahim Mosque and exactly what happened there?
I remember I was a year 2 student in Jordan, and then we woke up one day on the news that there was a settler who decided to go to a Muslim mosque and open fire while the prayer was inside. It was
while they were praying.
While they were praying.
Yeah, they were prostrate on the ground.
They were prostrate on the ground. And the doors were open because it's an open mosque, and he killed 29 Palestinian worshippers while they were performing their religious duties to Allah. And what is more peaceful than a human being praying? Moments of peace, moments of communication with the heavens.
Yep.
And then you walk in with your machine guns and open fire and killing nearly 30 people. And of course wounding
tens more. And more than that, Yusuf, moving on from to go to,
but how did Israel respond to that?
How did Israel respond?
Did Israel, let's say,
bulldoze his home?
Bulldoze his home, or did the Israeli media call him a terrorist? Is he viewed as a bad Israeli? It's actually the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
There is a monument for him, a memorial for him in the settlement of Kiryat Arba near Hebron.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Israelis look at him as a model,
as a hero.
I don't want to say all of the Israelis.
But
a lot of
very,
Israelis.
very good chunk. And one of the situation post the massacre.
But the security then came in.
Yeah, the security. For the security of the residents.
Reasons,
this is what we need to do to the Ibrahimi Mosque.
And they imposed unprecedented security measures.
And the first thing was
metal detectors, to the discontent of the people of Hebron and all Palestinians, and the dictating new facts on the ground that we still cannot reverse. And it was actually Netanyahu back then.
No surprise.
Maybe I would be. Netanyahu wasn't in '94, but the metal detectors policy was in his first term. So, because the Palestinians of Jerusalem know that very well, and yes, it's been 20 years, but I don't think we have this short memory, luckily, when it comes to our most sacred places. They refused it.
Yep.
They refused it, and they actually said, yes, we are not going to go through the metal detectors to Al-Aqsa, and we will pray on the streets, streaming to Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Absolutely.
And they've been praying on the streets all the five times prayers, and also the Friday prayer and the extra prayers, which we call the Sunnah prayers.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Qunut prayer last night at maybe 2 o'clock in the morning,
Brilliant.
Jerusalem time. That's not one of the 5 prayers. So there's an extra prayer on the streets. And the level of steadfastness, Nasser, that we've seen, the level of unity, people were really united. I've never seen a Christian lining up in a Muslim prayer next to Muslim brothers and sisters during the Friday prayer.
And I saw an interview with this young man, and the journalist said, you're obviously a Christian. I can see he was wearing a crucifix, and he had a Bible with him. And he said, well, I'm a Palestinian first.
Mm.
How I celebrate my God is secondary to the fact that I was born in Palestine. I am a Palestinian. I eat Palestinian food, dance Palestinian. I'm a Palestinian. I'm here because Al-Waqf, this land is Palestinian. Yep. The fact that my brother is a Muslim and he prays there and I go to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, is it material to the fact that I will not allow Israel to take this control?
Until this day, the custodians of the Holy Sepulchres are Muslims.
Yep.
The ones who hold the keys.
Absolutely.
Are Muslims protecting the holy cities. And I think people like Omar Aboud deserve to be mentioned by name and given the respect they deserve. And this is the spirit. Solidarity, unity, total rejection of the Israeli measures, and
we will not let them turn Jerusalem into Hebron.
Bringing Israel to its knees and to actually remove the metal detectors
and the cameras.
A huge victory to them.
It's people power.
That didn't come without a price. It came with a heavy price. We lost more martyrs, more injured people, hundreds and hundreds of people who were arrested. Personally, I know 5 of them by name, and we mentioned them in the prisoners event. One of the ones who spoke to us and gave us the messages by video in our Melbourne event was recently arrested because of what's been happening in Jerusalem. And praises be to God,
Well, victory is ours, as it will be in the future. And so one of the things that we talked about Hebron, and just to complete the story of Hebron for our listeners, is now in a city of 200,000 Palestinians, there's some 5,000 Israeli soldiers to protect 500 of the most extreme nutjob Zionists.
And when we say the most extreme, by the way, this is what Israeli media refers to them. I mean, I know enough Israeli journalists who reflect on Kiryat Arba settlement, and they are the worst of the settlers, and they are ready to do everything to turn the life of the people of Hebron, the 200 plus thousand Palestinians of Hebron, into hell, just for the sake of it, by harassing school children, by spitting on the road, on the people while walking on the road, by let alone the violence, let alone throwing stones, let alone live ammunition. And how many people had to had to be injured or even being killed because of their harassment. So these 500 people are protected by 5,000 Israeli soldiers, and the hostage is the whole city of Hebron with its population.
We should just very quickly, a big shout out to Mary Baxter, who's the last time she visited Palestine in Hebron, and she was part of the Christian Peacemakers team, and she would escort Palestinian children to school because it's a 2-kilometer walk, but it's so fraught with danger from whether it's stun grenades or tear gas or these crazy settlers spitting on them and throwing feces at them and rocks, that she's now in her 90th year. And I saw her just recently, and she said she'd love to go back, but the last time she almost didn't get in, and she's not sure her health would. So thanks very much
to Mary.
Yeah, much respect to Mary Baxter.
And to the people like Mary Baxter who really sacrifice their safety, because when you walk with Palestinians on the streets of Hebron, you're really risking your life. You're risking your security, because you are dealing with really violent and aggressive type of settlers. So again, respect to Mary Baxter and people like her.
Okay.
I think also, Nasser, it's important to mention that the people who gave, like you said, while Al-Aqsa is a Muslim property, the solidarity we had on our event last Wednesday was, yes, from Palestinians, yes, from the Muslims, but also from Christians,
absolutely,
from Jews, from non-religious people, from
atheists,
from political parties. I also want to mention the Lebanese Future Party for supporting us by attendance and by promotion, and the Turks who came there.
Turks were there.
The Pakistanis, and I don't want to mention people and not mention others.
Australians from all around,
and regardless of their ethnic or political affiliation or religious,
they were united in wanting to speak and show solidarity with the Palestinian people and their just struggle for their rights in Jerusalem.
Excellent, Nasser.
Now, while we're on that, we should just record. Today is Saturday, but tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. there is another rally for Al-Aqsa at 1:30 in front of the State Library. So if you've got nothing to do, in fact, if you have something to do now, get off your behinds and head to the State Library at 1:30 p.m. on Sunday for another rally.
And even if you have visitors, bring them with you.
We'll have cake and coffee there.
Excellent. Nasser, we have about 6 minutes to finish the show.
So
I want to talk to you about the upcoming
BDS conference.
Yeah,
absolutely. Let's talk about the BDS conference and the concept. Before we talk about the BDS conference, I just want to. We had just on Tuesday, the day before our rally, Yusuf, 5 activists from the BDS movement in America were about to board a plane and fly to Israel. Now, interestingly, these were from an ecumenical group. There were Christians, there were Muslims, there were Jews. In fact,
from civil society.
From civil society, but they were all part of a group that they believe in BDS. And interestingly, they weren't boarding an El Al flight. They were boarding a Scandinavian Airlines flight. And the Scandinavian Airlines flight was given the names of 5 of the passengers and were told to not allow them to join the flight, to board. So this is part of the incrimination, but also the existential threat that BDS is to the Israelis. They're very, very provoked and very worried about BDS. And the best thing about this is that they're so scared of it that it's it's an existential threat. So we had the Interior Minister Air Derry and Strategic Affairs Minister Gilad Aaron issued a joint statement and said, "These were prominent activists who continuously advocate for a boycott and who sought to come to Israel as part of a delegation of extremist boycott organizations whose entire purpose is to harm Israel." And they've released 4 points. These are the reasons why you'll be banned from entering Palestine, Israel, is if you A, hold a senior level position in a targeted organization, B, you are a key activist in the boycott movement, C, you are an establishment figure, such as a mayor who openly supports a boycott, or D, you operate on behalf of targeted organizations. So allegedly, the Israeli Strategic Affairs Ministry is going to list those organizations, a worldwide target list of people who, if you're a member of it, you won't get into Israel. So obviously it doesn't concern them at all.
You know what's sad, Nasser? It's not just that Israel has, because Israel is the enemy, and whatever comes out of it is expected, because, this is an open battle. Now we chose the non-violence, and we're up for it. But what saddens me is the position of Israel's friends, like, for example, Canada, France, where now it has become, or on its way to become illegal to publicly support or wear a T-shirt that you say that you are supportive of BDS.
Yeah.
This level of complicity needs to be exposed.
Absolutely. The complicity needs to be exposed. The quietness needs to be exposed. But in every, a layperson, Yusuf, John or Mary in the burbs, and they're sitting there in Blackburn or Bendigo, wherever it might be, and they're saying, hold on a second. So if I choose to buy Kraft Vegemite, now that Kraft is owned by, Vegemite's owned by an American company, I don't want to do that. I want to buy Dick Smith's Marmite, because that's an Australian company. So if I do that, am I illegal now? Now, Bob and Mary in Bendigo or Blackburn have got no idea about Palestine or Israel. But when you start telling Bob and Mary that, be careful, because if you boycott and you might go to jail, or there might be a $20,000 fine, you're recruiting Bob and Mary to Palestine. And we love you for it.
Yeah, excellent.
So
and we're not paying for that.
And we're not paying for it.
Yeah.
So the fact that Israel is using its immense strategic, monetary, political power to incriminate, and we spoke about it last week, the concept that you've made it criminal to boycott a criminal action.
Yep.
Is just absurd. It's Orwellian.
And only happens in
the context of Israel. It only happens in the context of Israel. Yeah. Say whatever you want, free speech, anything like that. But be careful, free speech does not exist beyond the state of Israel. Everything else, you can say whatever you want about Tibet. Say what you want about Kashmir, Pakistan,
you choose any,
Sudanese, black youth in Dandenong. We don't care about, what's happening in Sri Lanka to...
Tamils.
The Tamils, say whatever you want about anywhere in the world, West Papua, but don't you say anything about Israel.
Nasser, I think we're heading towards the end of the episode. This episode was recorded on Thursday night, so by the time it's aired, you will be in the middle of the BDS conference in Sydney. And
hello from Sydney.
Hello from Sydney, yes. And I'm looking forward to the maybe interviews or the reflections you're going to bring with you on the show next week.
But we've only got a little bit of time left, Yusuf, and we should tell our listeners that it was your 21st birthday today. So happy birthday, Yusuf, from all of your dear listeners on 3CR. Happy birthday, Yusuf.
It's my 21st twice.
21st twice.
Thank you, Nasser. And I think my biggest, the best present that I had on my birthday is the victory of the people of Jerusalem.
Alhamdulillah. Fantastic.
Alhamdulillah. So until we meet next week, this is Yusuf, Nasser and Robert wishing you the best of time, and do tune in next week, same time, 9:30 in the morning. Until then, have a great time and salam.
You've been listening to a 3CR podcast produced in the studios of independent community radio station 3CR in Melbourne, Australia. For more information, go to allthews.3cr.org.au.